Hi, Sinead. Welcome.
Hello. How are you?
We're live at the moment, so it's all live. We have an audience, and we've been listening to your music up till 5 minutes ago. We were listening to kid stuff, and we absolutely love your music in this place, and we're very grateful to you for being here. It's an outstanding opportunity for us to get in touch with people that we listen to, we hear, but we don't often get to see. And that it's very important for us in Italy, where we have a big community of people listening to your type of music, to your genre. So it's a privilege to have you here. Thank you very much for that.
Oh, I haven't been to Italy yet, so I'm quite excited to kind of get my music out there more, and hopefully play there soon as well.
È molto, I'm gonna have to translate in between answers if you don't mind. Allora, intanto sono estremamente contento che lei sia qui in questo momento, ma le ho detto che siamo avidi ascoltatori della sua musica e per noi italiani è un privilegio ovviamente ospitarla qui dentro. Dice che lei ama questo paese, anche per lei chiaramente è ricambiata questa sorta di attenzione. Io adesso inizio a farle delle domande, poi penso che ve le tradurrò direttamente, perché vorrei andare anch'io per una volta con un po' di flusso. I had an image listening to your music and actually listening to all these new artists, including obviously you, coming from the British Islands, doing spoken word.
Yeah.
And I had this image just a bunch of minutes ago, and I imagined that being at the open mic kind of session, in a club, in a kind of foggy and smoky club, where somebody takes the stage, takes the mic, and express himself. And at the same time, there's a piano player, if it's 𝗓𝗓𝗏𝗧𝗪, or a band of alternative musicians in your case, or, I don't know, maybe a more captivating sounding band like in the case of dry cleaning. Or, I don't know, depressed kind of somber musicians in the case of 𝗬𝗓𝗏𝗧𝗪. And it's quite amazing that it's the British Islands are the focus, are the center of all this. And I don't think it's coordinated. I think it's just coming out of I don't know what type of need. So I'm asking you, how is this so a coincidence?
Yeah. This is something that I think about quite a lot, because I've been asked a couple of times. Also from Ireland, there's quite a few bands who are very lyric focused at the moment, which is it's beautiful to see, because having an attention drawn to the content of the music and the songs, as well as the songwriting, as well as the instrumentation. It's my particular interest, the lyrics. So for me, it's a really great moment actually for this to be, at the pinnacle. The reason for it is very hard to put my finger on. I think at the moment, current situation, things going on politically, socially, economically, I think people want to be heard. And when you have something to say, there is no more direct way to say it, I think, than with the voice. And I think with all these different bands that you mentioned, there's varying levels of speaking, of singing, of expressing. But at the end, it's less focus of how is it sung or how is it spoken. It's what are they saying, and is that the best way to communicate it? I think that, bands naturally find their way to use their own voice, I suppose, yeah.
Allora, indubbiamente c'è qualcosa che sta succedendo ed è del tutto spontaneo, e crede Sinead che questo dipenda da una necessità sociale, politica probabilmente, proprio per la configurazione di quello che sta succedendo socialmente e politicamente nel suo paese e nei paesi intorno ovviamente al suo, dove la gente è spinta a voler esprimere se stesso, ed esprimere se stesso forse nella maniera più chiara e diretta possibile. Quindi probabilmente lo spoken word diventa cruciale per questo tipo di espressione. Poi, dice lei, ognuno lo fa in maniera diversa e ognuno ha una maniera comunicativa differente. però probabilmente è una necessità, come dire, chiamiamola ambientale, forse anche geografica, di voler comunicare in questa maniera. I cannot help to notice that, and then we're going to get straight into your music and your art and your way of expressing it, but I cannot help but noticing that Dan Carey is one of the people like who is mostly responsible what's happening, which is it's a music turmoil in the British Islands, which I think it's amazing. It's like it's the birth of a new scene. It's the offsprings of a new scene. I don't know what that is, but it's awesome, especially because a lot of people were considering rock as a dead genre, and it's very much alive, especially thanks to you people. So why is Dan Carey a pole? Why is he a magnet to all this great music?
He's one of these magic people, that exist who, like a magnet, draw good things to themselves because they kind of portray a specific energy and interest, I suppose, in picking up things that they find. He finds things interesting, and he gravitates towards it and makes something happen quickly and makes work and acts on it, like rather than just, I suppose, like taking a back seat. He's very involved. He goes to gigs when gigs are happening, like every night of the week he's there. It's not difficult that this scene started to form around him because they're his friends. I mean, we're all his friends. It's a genuine relationship, like with him as a producer and as a friend. So yeah, he's a really great person. I think being so active on the scene, in the music scene, and finding the things he thinks are interesting and unique, that will be why, I think, yeah.
È indubbiamente un magnete, se possiamo definirlo in questa maniera, perché è una persona che non si limita, cerco di fare un sunto di quello che ha detto, non si limita a osservare e a pensare, è una persona che però acts, che è una persona che fa, e quindi essendo una persona estremamente attiva, lui va a trovarsi band, a vedere concerti tutte le settimane, almeno fino a quando questo è stato concesso, però indubbiamente è una persona che riesce ad ascoltare l'artista e a creare una dimensione per lui. Chiedo proprio a lei adesso come ha lavorato sulla sua musica, se è stato responsabile per esempio per delle soluzioni musicali. How did Dan work on your material, and was he responsible for some of the musical solutions? For instance, the fact that you don't have a bassist. I mean, it's amazing that it's full of bass lines, but they're not played by a bassist, which I find awesome. Was that your idea? Was it your necessity, or was it something like that the producer had to has been responsible of?
Actually, Julian, our guitar player, he's fully responsible for the bass sound. So yeah, like Julian, it almost feels like an orchestra within one person. Apart from having like several pedals and tools and toys he plays with his guitar, he splits his signal through a bass amp and a guitar amp, giving him this feeling of like several like different octaves at the same time. And he's a like scientist. It's great.
And how was Dan responsible of your sound, if he was?
So yeah, when we go into the room with Dan at any one time, we will spend usually a whole day doing like an experimental sounding kind of like, bouncing ideas off each other and kind of like, how do we want this to sound? What world does this exist in? You don't just go and play the track and record it. It's like, okay, let's pull this away from classic band setup and get this to feel like lyrics are hitting you in the face, and then the music is like developing at its own pace beneath, and coming through at certain points. So in order to get to there, we just have these like really, really like wild experimental session where Dan kind of like pushes you to your limit, and sometimes he removes other band members and you're just on your own with no guidance, just kind of like give a really strong delivery and then give a more held back delivery, and then everybody together in the room, and like all of these different ways of kind of bringing different surprising kind of delivery elements from you. So I think the spontaneity and catching a fresh moment is like, I think Dan has really like taught us how to do that, and I feel like I can carry that through with my live set. I feel like I have learned how to kind of really bring a fresh feeling every single time I perform, and I really enjoy doing that. Yeah.
Allora, andiamo per gradi. Gli ho chiesto quanto Dan fosse responsabile del suono e soprattutto di questa curiosa soluzione di avere un chitarrista a suonare le parti di basso. Di quello è responsabile esclusivamente Julian, il suo chitarrista, che definisce una sorta di mago, di magician, cioè lui riesce attraverso una serie di come dire, escamotage, tools, a per esempio splittare il segnale in due amplificatori, quindi uno da basso e uno da chitarra, proprio per dare quel corpo che manca, e di quello è responsabile lui. Ho chiesto di che cosa fosse responsabile più direttamente il produttore 𝗏𝗪𝗏, e più che trovare un suono, più che trovare delle soluzioni, ha dato a Sinead e ai suoi musicisti la apertura mentale, o le capacità, gli strumenti anche in questo caso, per tradurre in sorpresa sonora e varietà sonora il background per la sua poetica, per le sue poesie, quindi creare sempre qualcosa che possa essere inaspettato, un qualcosa che possa essere in una formula originale. I imagine that your poetry came before the music. Were you naturally attracted to that type of sound, or you just thought that it fitted best your poetry?
So when I wanted to start performing the poetry, I didn't have any musicians. I didn't even have any friends who were free to play with me at the time. So I had to think okay, I need to find somebody to play with. And I actually met Julian on the dance floor and of this nightclub that we always went to called Cave Club. And we actually just performed at a warehouse in Hackney Wick on a Sunday. It was called Sunday Services, I think. That was one of our first performances. So performed to a warehouse of people, all maybe 100 or 200 people on a Sunday night, all sitting down, legs crossed on the ground, and people would take their turns. So me and Julian improvised, 100% improvised for this one. So we barely knew each other anyway. So I was reading my poetry, but kind of feeling the flow of where he was going to go with the music. And that's actually one of my favorite things ever anyway, is to do a vocal on top of music I have not yet heard, because it's just incredible. You have to ride the wave, the feeling, and predict a little bit. So it kind of just happened very organically with me and Julian, a bit of his style, a bit of my style, working a lot with what do the words want, not just what can we do. It's always starting with what are the words saying, what's the mood, and then Oscar joined us at a later stage. So I think it really comes down to the words and what they need. That's kind of how we start and where we go back to, rather than creating a sound we want,
Allora, è iniziato abbastanza in maniera casuale, nel senso che lei aveva le sue poesie, quindi le poesie sono arrivate prima della musica. Questa è stata la mia domanda, e, come supponevo, no? E ho chiesto a lei se fosse responsabile della direzione musicale. Lei in realtà aveva appunto le sue parti vocali, e all'interno di un club che si chiama The Cave Club, dove sia lei che Julian si ritrovavano. Una sera lei si è esibita all'interno di delle serate che avvenivano la domenica, chiamato Sunday Services, e praticamente Julian si è offerto di accompagnarla, di farle da tappeto sonoro, ed è stato lì praticamente il momento di genesi, di creazione di questo connubio, no, tra musica e poesia. A questo poi si è aggiunto in un secondo momento anche il batterista, ma dice che la cosa più interessante è stata proprio riuscire a coniugare i saliscendi che ci sono, un po' come se fossero delle montagne russe, della parola che ha bisogno di momenti musicali che continuano ad aggiornarsi costantemente. Credo che questa sia un'immagine molto bella, e devo dire che l'immagine che ho avuto io della serata col microfono aperto in realtà non è stata così tanto sbagliata, perché forse è stato parzialmente quello che è successo. Voglio parlare dei testi. You haven't released an album yet, and I'm going to ask you about that in a in a few questions because I'm very interested. Like, you only released singles and 2 EPs, but have you do you believe your lyrics, your poetry evolved? There's an evolution. Like, if we take, I don't know, your early songs, or if we take kid stuff, do you think there is an evolution within your way of expressing yourself lyrically?
Yeah, definitely. The way that I'm writing, I think, has actually changed a lot in the last few months. Even I used to write when I'm so pressed for time always. So I used to write in a fragmented way, like on the way to work, on the bus, on the train, at lunchtime, before breakfast. Honestly, like, it was like, and I think that kind of fragmented approach has its charm and has a place. But right now that I can breathe during this lockdown time, I actually can write like very like thorough kind of pieces, which are very whole and fully formed. And it feels very different. And Kid Stuff was one of the first pieces of that kind, I think, that I really knew, like, oh, it feels close already when it's even just first written, because it has its own form, and it's a different kind of form. And I think it's a stage on from what I had been doing before that. Yeah, I think, I mean, I'm always pushing myself with doing write exercises and writing in different personas, different voices, using different characters and narratives and form, even like a monologue, a soliloquy, a play, a conversation, which all will kind of, I guess, influence my writing and my style. But I think this lockdown period has been like, a tremendous growth period for my writing.
Ho chiesto se c'è stata un'evoluzione nella sua poetica e se lei riconosce una evoluzione nella sua poetica. Mi ha detto di sì, perché normalmente lei scriveva durante una sorta di sua lotta contro il tempo costante, quindi scriveva nei momenti, che ne so, prima di andare a lavorare, nei frammenti, nei ritagli di tempo. E invece con il tempo, e soprattutto grazie, se per qualcosa possiamo essere grati al lockdown, è riuscita ad avere dei tempi più dilatati e quindi a concentrarsi maggiormente su quello che volesse dire realmente, a lavorare proprio sulla forma anche estetica del proprio, l'ha definito soliloquio in alcuni casi. E un'altra cosa importante che ha detto è che lei in questo momento nelle sue canzoni dà voce non soltanto a se stessa, come faceva all'inizio, ma dà voce anche ad altri personaggi, ad altri punti di vista. Ecco, voglio entrare proprio, e dice che Kid Stuff forse è uno dei primi momenti proprio di questo tipo di raggiungimento, di il compiacersi di aver avuto il tempo proprio per ragionare in maniera molto mirata, quasi chirurgica sulle parole. Parto proprio da questa canzone. I really want to focus on the lyrics of Kid Stuff, because they probably they're not as clear as previous lyrics that you've written, and that which I ignore, that is so recurring, and that which is not lost is not gone. I found it really like enthralling in a way and fascinating, but I don't know what to make of it. I don't know what is the meaning of that. And so I'm going to have to ask you if you want to clarify what that means in your case.
Yeah, no, I'm always happy to talk about what lines mean, because I think it doesn't take away. You can still have many interpretations. Even for me, sometimes on different days, it does slightly mean different things. So it was a realization I had like quite suddenly, on a really hot day at the end of last summer, when I had been kind of engaging in like really free play and disinhibited activities with some friends after a long period of just being inside with no sort of outlet or no release. And I kind of shockingly realized that like I had been suppressing this like quite childish side of myself. I suppose like in an attempt to get on with like, you know, there's so much to manage, there's so much to do, and just like get through in a day that side, there's no time or no room for that side. But I think it's essential to kind of integrate this side into like adult life, this childhood, this youth, and this inner voice, because I realize it doesn't go away and it will not go away. So that which is not lost is not gone. It's the kind of circular mantra, which kind of means that, you know, once you are alert and aware to something and you realize it's triggered in you, I mean, then you have it. You have the moment to catch it again. So I think it's quite a hopeful and a positive sentiment, yeah.
So what you ignored was the fact that having a childish side?
Yeah, like a youthfulness inside, like a playful, you know, you need to kind of let this side out and let play happen, like no matter what age you are or what situation you're in, and kind of like you need to engage in like some hours of this every day. I think like it's kind of like not, I suppose, like normal or like talked about that this should happen. I mean, where is the time for this? Like when I'm on my way to work, when I'm at work, when I'm at a meeting, I don't like, there's no slot for this in any like structure of a day that's in front of me anyway. So I kind of think it's like a duty, and it's also like a well-being thing. I would think like, you know, to balance your persona and your character. There is this aspect, this side, and I find it very beautiful as well to discover this person who was always with me. Yeah, it was a really nice realization.
Allora, ho chiesto che cosa fosse quello che lei ignora e che cosa fosse quello che se non è andato via non è perso. La risposta è meravigliosa, praticamente, e la traduco per chi non dovesse aver compreso, alla fine del primo lockdown duro si è potuta godere dei momenti l'ha chiamati free play, praticamente di divertimento libero, con diciamo di ripresa delle attività con amici, con persone che avevano vissuto la stessa circostanza, e quindi si era ritrovata in una serie di attività anche fanciullesche, diciamo quasi infantili. Questo le ha fatto capire che c'era una parte che lei aveva tenuto quasi sopita, nascosta dietro impegni, dietro probabilmente una vita anche abbastanza serrata, l'aveva tenuta da parte, questa parte fanciullesca, questa parte di giovanilismo, di divertimento anche infantile, e recuperarla è stata un qualcosa di fantastico, che le ha fatto capire che tutto ciò va incorporato nella vita di tutti i giorni, va incorporato all'interno dell'adulto, e quindi dargli un giusto bilanciamento, un bilanciamento che non può che far bene, che creare una situazione di benessere all'essere umano, un benessere non solo fisico ma anche mentale, soprattutto realizzando che non aveva mai lasciato nessun tipo di spazio per tutto questo. I'm going to go to another song. Well, the song is Taken on Time. Mm-hmm. And I found kind of also kind of frightening the what you described as being, you know, possessed by ideas, but being a prisoner of your dreams and your ideas. If what I got out of this is correct. The plague of enlightenment, something that could be a gift to anybody. You felt it like it was a plague, like it was something that doomed your life. And you said it's no great gain, and you are enchained through your own creation. It is like being an artist but being doomed. I found that kind of like scary good in a way. It's an awesome way of putting it. And do you feel compelled to be an artist?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not happy and I'm not well if I'm not creating. It's my thing that keeps me balanced. Yeah, I like everything you picked out. I mean, yeah, they're definitely like true statements, but at the same time, it doesn't carry such weight. I suppose, like, I always play with this kind of the weight of the gifts of like being awakened and like alive and like full of ideas. Yeah, like Drowning in Blessings is another example, like the title of the EP. It's like I'm like great, like really appreciative of like having my greatest problem is I don't have enough time to get my ideas out, and I think it's a great problem to have. Like, yeah, I think it's definitely not as heavy as it sounds. Like, I'm a really quite like light, happy person, really, in general. So yeah, but there's definitely a compulsion to like work. I have like such a work ethic. I would do like a full day job, 9 to 5, like all week, and then I do a night shift every day with my music. And weekends I do music. So my free time is also like doing things I love, but it is also filled with writing and music. Yeah, but I mean, these are my choices and I am happy with them.
Why do you feel like there's never time? It's the second time that you put that out, and why do you feel there's no time? Why do you feel you have no time?
Do you want to have a run through of my day? There is no time, I'm telling you. I think it's because I have this other job. I'm a fashion designer as well.
Yeah.
It's like takes up a lot of, about 40 or 50 hours a week. So there is no time. But at the same time, this does like press the ideas and I'm quite rigorous with my like discipline. Like, I won't let anybody see me on Saturday morning between these hours, because I'm always going to be doing my writing, because it's my best like idea time. So like I have these rigorous like routines and rhythms that I stick with, and then people have to like fit in and around it.
Ovviamente diventa nella struttura poetica del brano, la canzone è Taking on Time. Le ho chiesto come mai, no, si senta quasi condannata ad essere un artista, ad essere schiava delle proprie idee. In realtà sono delle figure volutamente esagerate, non è quello che lei sente realmente, nel senso che lei dice anche drowning in blessings, affogare nel dono, no, di un qualcosa, nell'essere come dire baciati dalla fortuna di poter vivere qualcosa. Anche quella lì è una figura sicuramente poetica, di forte contrasto. In realtà lei si sente fortemente connessa alla sua modalità espressiva, e da un certo punto di vista sente sempre che non ci sia tempo, perché ha un lavoro anche durante il giorno. Quindi lei ha una schedule molto particolare. Di giorno lavora come fashion designer, la sera scrive. Il sabato mattina è il momento in cui lei scrive musica, e quindi non vuole essere vista da nessuno perché ha una disciplina, e questa disciplina la prende in maniera molto seria, e quindi dice: io realmente non ho tempo per fare tutto questo perché sono 2 lavori insieme, però sento che è un qualcosa però di estremamente benefico, e quindi non spaventatevi, sono una persona molto felice nella mia vita, e quindi non sento assolutamente questo tipo di condanna. The final lyrics that I want to take an in-depth with you are the ones for probably our, when I say our, I mean our community. There are a lot of people watching the show right now who absolutely love your music, I can tell you that. And the song that we adored, and we had a Channel Awards at the end of last year, and you were there as Best Female, and you were there as Favorite Song. You only lost to Braids, which they had an awesome song, but Most Modern Painting was an absolute favorite in this channel. We totally loved that song. I was trying to figure out what the lyrics are about, and I was thinking in a way, okay, maybe this is about lockdown. Maybe this is about when you said something real in this life is missing. It's probably realizing that a lot of our relationships are based on something which is not physical sometimes. It's just virtual, and it can end up being fake in a way. And he said the conditions for being are changing. So I thought, okay, maybe she's referring to lockdown. And then there's this beautiful sentence, this beautiful phrase, which is, we are the echo of the sound we have not yet heard. I totally love that line. It's beautiful. Can you explain what that song is about?
Yeah, I actually wrote this one before lockdown, so we released it, I think, just as we were going into the first lockdown. Yeah, So it's not actually about lockdown, but it's about I have a funny memory about those lyrics. I'll get to that in a second. It's about maintenance of the self. So this thing that we all have to take part in, which I kind of woke up one day realizing, like, you know, how have I overlooked this like mammoth task, which is, developing yourself forever, like at all times, like always progressing and developing the self until the end of time. It's like this huge thing. And I'm not talking about like maintenance, like a beauty or like this kind of stuff. I'm talking about like the self, the person, the character. Yeah, the character, exactly. So yeah, it felt quite huge. And I feel like the music kind of does give you this kind of like spacious kind of like soundscape to put those lyrics in. We are the echo of the sound we have not yet heard. We are the image of the thing we have not yet been. I actually was having this argument at work with one of the senior members of staff, who he was trying to recommend some philosophy to me, like some philosophers to read. And we were just having like quite a heated debate. And then I came back with this line telling him like, oh, like, I'm not stupid. I've read some great philosophers. Like, you know, I read, like, hello. I don't just read magazines or whatever. And I was like, I wrote this. What do you think? And he was like, what is this rubbish? And I was like, you just turn around and go away. I'm going to use this. I love this. Because for me, this line had a feeling of like intuition and like the echo of like live like your ancestry, but also your future, and how the lineage of like, I think ancestry and family, how you kind of gravitate towards things that you're going to become, again with this developing this stuff. It's like all of the sort of intuition and progress and development.
Why did you make the song slow down before the end?
Oh, because I had this idea to do begin a million drum rolls. So I was like, cue Oscar to begin like a million drum rolls, to call us from our sleepy coffins, to wake us, because it's a circular thing. It's the awakening has to happen before the song could happen, but it's at the end, I suppose.
Wow. Allora, il testo di Most Modern Painting, le ho spiegato quanto sia stata una canzone amata all'interno di questo canale, di come sia finita anche nei nostri awards di fine anno. Ci sono delle parti interessantissime e ascoltando questo testo io ho istantaneamente pensato al lockdown, nel senso che parla delle condizioni del nostro vivere che stanno cambiando, e anche del fatto che il lockdown ci abbia costretto in un certo senso ad impostare dei rapporti sempre più virtuali, no? E forse smascherare la virtualità di molti nostri rapporti che consideravamo reali. E c'è una frase, no? Qualcosa di reale in questa nostra vita manca della realtà, qualcosa di concreto. E poi c'è questa frase meravigliosa: siamo l'eco del suono che non abbiamo ancora ascoltato, no? E le ho chiesto che cosa volesse dire questa frase. Mi ha spiegato che la canzone non ha nulla a che fare con il lockdown perché è stata scritta precedentemente. Ed è una canzone che in realtà si interroga sulla costante evoluzione di noi stessi, non tanto come persone, ma più come character, come personaggi, come forse elementi che sono più determinanti della nostra persona, più caratterizzanti della nostra persona. E mi ha raccontato che quella frase in particolare, che a me colpì in maniera speciale, uscì fuori perché durante il suo lavoro di tutti i giorni, appunto la designer, con il capo del suo personale, che aveva invitato loro a approfondire la filosofia, lei disse: ma guarda che io sono una persona che ha letto, sono una persona che ha studiato, e lui un po' la snobbò, e lei tornò con questa frase scritta, gliela fece leggere e lui disse: è immondizia, buttala via. E lei disse: no, questa non è immondizia, questa è una frase molto importante e ti dimostrerò che io a questa frase in particolare darò uno spessore. E infatti questa canzone è diventata proprio quella frase che ha colpito così tanto me oppure altri ragazzi che seguono questo canale in una maniera così importante, e dice che quello è in realtà quel suono, appunto quell'eco del suono che non abbiamo ancora sentito è il nostro divenire e quindi la nostra evoluzione. E credo che ci sia tanta di quel contenuto, di tanto contenuto in questa artista, e come vi dicevo prima è fondamentale partire proprio dai suoi testi. Voglio chiedere cosa sarà del futuro se uscirà finalmente un disco. Is all this musical experience gonna end up in an album, or do you quite fancy this way of, I don't know, releasing songs like I don't know, probably putting pins on a board, or EPs with 2 or 3 songs? Is this how you conceive music and releasing music, or you're thinking of working on a project, something like a book, like a collection, probably like something that might contain all your poetry?
Yeah, when I'm creating work, I'm always thinking of a body of work. I just end up cutting it at a certain point and releasing it, because otherwise everything would be private up until now. So I really do think of like the whole all the time when I'm compiling things. I actually have a manuscript of every poem I've ever written, and it's getting quite big. I'm sure at some point I will definitely put the poems together, 100%, yeah. And then as for the music, of course, at some point I would love to do an album. But yeah, you have to see what comes as well, because I really believe in like shaping, the work that you've produced. You have to shape it and release it how it fits the form. And Drowning in Blessings was, this group of 4 songs I really liked. It had such a light and a heavy weight. It just balanced quite nicely for me. So yeah, let's see. It's not decided yet what the next release is. So.
Indubbiamente fare uscire qualcosa per lei è cruciale, nel senso che le idee sono fatte, la musica è fatta, la propria espressione, la propria espressività forse artistica è fatta per essere condivisa, per essere messa fuori, quindi probabilmente fino ad oggi ha pubblicato proprio per la necessità di condividere, e anche perché probabilmente certe canzoni fissano un momento nel tempo ed è giusto condividerle mentre quel momento è vivo o ancora rimbalza all'interno del suo stesso eco. Per quanto riguarda però la sua poetica, ovviamente le sue poesie, e però anche la stessa musica, indubbiamente vuole che tutto questo possa essere racchiuso all'interno di un disco, e quindi un album indubbiamente ci sarà nel futuro più immediato. Speriamo il prima possibile. Voglio farle un'ultima domanda ringraziandola per il tempo che ci ha dedicato. Are you surprised with the reception of this project of yours? Did you expect any of this?
No.
What did you think was going to happen?
Surprised. I'm always surprised because, like, I never made a decision to do anything. There was never a moment where I thought, I just always followed my instinct. Like, I feel like my instinct is my strongest guide, and I want to do something, so I do it for the love of it. So it was never a framework. There was always just the work first, and then I figure out afterwards what to do with it. So yeah, it is really surprising that I can actually, that people have such a great response to it. It makes me so thrilled, like it really does. It matters much more to me what individual people think or how they respond or how they, react to certain lines rather than what the press think about things. So it's always really lovely for me when somebody picks out a line or something and they have an interpretation, or they say it made their day better or it lifted the spirit. It's the biggest compliments. Like, these are the things I love to hear.
È molto sorpresa perché non se l'aspettava, perché non si aspettava di creare una connessione così forte, perché non ha mai pensato che il lavoro potesse portarla, diciamo, a un certo livello. Quindi c'è un livello di stupore che è sicuramente molto alto, però voglio chiudere veramente con una ultimissima considerazione sul fatto che ci sia una controcultura in questo momento in atto, e se forse anche questo in un certo senso la sorprende. Most of us think of pop as some cheap form of music. In fact, it's not, but most of the time it tends to be cheap. Are you surprised also by the fact that there is a whole wave of counterculture in this moment, coming from your country and the British countries at this time, and it's also unconventional, and it's also good, and it's also followed by many people. Did you expect any of this?
No, like I remember a couple of years ago talking to some friends of mine about like the charts, and we would look at the charts just like out of interest, but like feeling no relationship whatsoever to the music and the charts, because I love guitar music. I do kind of really like a variation of music. I love researching new music and hearing what's there, but yeah, ultimately I love like a band setup. Like I love music that has these elements. Yeah, so in the last year alone, like how many like incredible like guitar-based bands and quite lyric-focused bands have been in the running for top albums, like in the charts. It's amazing. There was like Fontaine's, yeah, and like last week, Dry Cleaning, Black Honey. Like it's, yeah, there's just so much more scope for this stuff right now. It feels like a resurgence, and I feel like a lot of the major labels and like the music industry got it wrong because they, thought there was this like, I don't know, thumbs down for guitar music, but I feel like it's the century of guitar music again. So here we go.
Sinead, thank you very much. You've been such an thrilling guest. It's awesome. I'm looking forward to hearing more of your music, an album possibly. So thank you very much. You made us an evening very special. So thanks a lot and good luck with anything, with everything, because I think you deserve it. Thank you.
Thank you too. It was lovely to meet you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.